Davit SAMUSHIA versus SASHO ANDREEV was an absolutely insane match. Every single match that SAMUSHIA is in ends up being a total nail-biter. It goes super back and forth, and you have no idea who's going to win until the very last pin, and that's exactly what we saw once again in this match. Upon the very first ready go, we actually saw SASHO hit outside, which surprised me a little bit, but even outside of straps, SAMUSHIA was still able to force the match into a hook. Now from here, we see SASHO rotating downward, and he's dragging to the very back of the pad, and he ends up just barely pinning SAMUSHIA in this round, making the score 1-0 in favor of SASHO. Now in the second round, we see SASHO go ahead and commit to that inside lane along with SAMUSHIA, and in this round, SAMUSHIA is able to obtain a super deep grip. He has a better spot once the match goes into a hook, and he's able to grind this match toward his side of the table, rotate SASHO down, and eventually he's able to go through SASHO's bicep. Now the score is 1-1. Now in round 3, we see SASHO go back to the top roll, and this time he is actually able to crack the wrist back of Davit SAMUSHIA. Now inside of straps, we see Davit going for the flop press against SASHO's top roll. However, SASHO has a tremendous amount of side pressure even from this top roll position. He's using that super crazy inside pressure he has along with this top roll to put Davit in a really bad position. He is patient in this round, and eventually we see him explode out of nowhere, get a side pressure hit, and he's able to finish the match in that top row lane against Davit's flop press. Now the score is 2-1 SASHO ANDREEV. In round 4, once again SASHO going for the outside move. He is able to crack the wrist back, but this time he ends up being a little bit closer to that pin pad by the time he actually cracks the wrist back, and we can start to see the fatigue setting in on SASHO ANDREEV's elbow flexor. He's just a little bit more separated this time, and he does those same explosive sideways drives once he takes hand control, but you can see the distance between his own shoulder and his hand has increased, so now he's not quite getting as close to pinning whenever he does those hits, and slowly but surely that elbow flexor angle of SASHO just becomes more and more separated until eventually SAMUSHIA is able to get the pin with the flop press. The score is now 2-2. Round 5 was probably the most chaotic round out of all of them. Once again, it was a flop press versus a top roll, but eventually SASHO ends up fouling out and SAMUSHIA takes this one. The score is now 3-2. And in round 6, once again we see the flop press from SAMUSHIA versus the top roll from SASHO, and eventually this match actually gets turned back into a hook. And once this match gets turned back into a hook, SAMUSHIA clearly has a higher power level at this point because SASHO's elbow flexor has been gassed out to such a high degree, and he's able to easily pin SASHO in that 6th and final round, taking this one 4-2. Awesome, valiant effort from SASHO, and SAMUSHIA is now a 9-time-in-a-row world champion in that weight class. Absolutely crazy.